Good morning. This is the Focus on Parliament show on Civic Space TV, brought to you by the Center for Constitutional Governance. I am Kwagala, your host. Parliament once again has been caught in the crosshairs of another corruption scandal. This time round after 2 MPs were summoned, quizzed and detained by the police over their alleged involvement in the mismanagement of the Cooperatives Union Compensation Fund. On this edition of the Focus on Parliament, we ask the big question: are these MPs legitimate recipients of these monies? Viewers, you are most welcome to this program. I now have the pleasure and the honor to introduce to you my guests to discuss today's topic. From my immediate right is the gentleman from Parliament, Mr. Tusiime Apollo, the Secretary General of the Uganda Parliamentary Press Association. You are most welcome, sir. Say hello to the viewers.
Thank you. Civic Space TV, my name is Prince Apollo. I am the Secretary General for Uganda Parliamentary Press Association, like Mr. Kwagala said. And Uganda Parliamentary Press Association is a group of journalists who are accredited to cover Parliament. We do not work for Parliament. I would want always to emphasize that. And we are always pleased to be given an opportunity to be part of the civic space discussions. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Apollo. You're most welcome. Next to Apollo is Mr. Mulindwa Moses. He's a climate activist and a former MP hopeful for Shema Municipality. You're most welcome, Moses, to the program. Say hello to the viewers.
Thank you, Civic Space, for having me here, and thank you to the viewers. I hope you're going to enjoy the show, because I see fellow gentlemen, we don't have a lady right now. I hope next time we will. To have insightful conversations about controversial issues that are running across the country. He said I'm hopeful to be, but I think I'm going to be in Parliament come 2026.
You former?
Former?
Yes.
Yeah, kind of. Oh, okay. Yeah, and I'm a junior negotiator for the country, Uganda, at UNFCCC on adaptation. And I also work with UNCCD, which is a United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, as head of Land Heroes in Africa. So I'm happy to be here with these honorable gentlemen.
Thank you for joining us. Next to Moses is Mr. Twahika Dennis, who is a political scientist and a lawyer and a parliamentary hopeful for Ushenyi Municipality. You're most welcome to the program, Dennis. Say hello to the viewers.
Thank you, our moderator. Thank you, Civic Space, for broadening the space. Because I can see we watch this program online, and we are also privileged to be now part of this process, that our viewers will be also dissecting our interaction with them. I thank you, and also want to recognize and welcome my fellow panelists, and especially my senior, Mr. Harold Kaija. Of course, I am not here to introduce him. I know you are going to. I don't want to preempt, but it would have.
Because I keep his name in my family.
It would have been really. It would have been imprudent not to recognize him, because I respect him. Thank you very much, and let's hope we shall have an interactive discussion.
Thank you for joining us, Dennis. And of course, last but not least, he's been introduced as a senior on the program, is Mr. Harold Kaija, the Interim Secretary General of the Forum for Democratic Change. You're most welcome to the program, sir. Say hello to the viewers.
Thank you. I hate the title, sir. I always try to. I don't want to be called. I prefer my name. Colleagues were asking why I don't go for a big day, so I want to keep low. I'm happy to be here with you, Mr. Kwagala, and colleagues. I'm happy to meet the women. You know, everybody will claim, especially in my space, if I am here that way, I must tell you the program is managed by women. Very competent women, one called Pearl, another Britain. They are here. Next time we shall sit them on the side and I'll go on the camera. I want to welcome you, our viewers, and thank you for having invited us here. I had people having very big CVs here. I am an employed economist, a liberation economist in Uganda. I'm a climate activist. I am an activist for change, and I'm an activist for social and economic justice. Passionate about seeing the exit of Mr. Museveni and ending his 40-year rule. That is what I do.
Okay.
Another huge CV.
Yes.
You're most welcome to
Sweet
the
boy.
program. Harold, so I'm going to start with you.
Oh,
Yes, and for the benefit of the viewers, the two MPs that have been adversely implicated in this saga are Honorable Mudimi Wamakuya, who is the representative of Elgon County in Parliament, and Honorable Michael Mawanda, the MP representing Igara East. I think this is Shema?
Bushen.
No, Bushen.
Bushen,
This is
yeah.
Bushen, in Bushen district.
My district.
is this
Yes, so
Museveni was not cutting,
mm,
he is MP.
him.
Yeah, because Iga municipality was carved out of Igara East. Yes.
Mm.
So the things of cutting is everything.
But
So-
by extension, he's my MP and,
So-
and a friend
Oh,
at that.
so you're not going to be conflicted by discussing his participation in the saga?
I will,
On the program.
I will defend a friend.
Let's speak the truth.
The truth is that Mawanda Michael is my friend.
Okay.
Despite all that is happening,
Yeah.
he's a
Your
friend.
Okay.
Can't deny.
I like you for that.
It's a
Thank you
fact.
for
Yes.
verifying that.
Yes.
So Harold, what are your impressions of these reports now that have emerged that Mr. Honorable Mawanda and Honorable Mudidi Wamakuya have been summoned by the police, interrogated and detained? We are yet to see them arraigned in court, but we know for sure these summons are a direct result of a report, a Parliamentary Secretarial Committee report that implicated them as participants in this criminal enterprise. As a citizen, what are your initial impressions of this?
You know, these days I'm a very relaxed person. So that I don't take the balls, I think I should relearn it because I stopped and be enjoying what is happening in this country. In the year 2011, I was seated with a fellow activist, I call him my commander, Honorable Chivombi. And I was checking the papers, and all the papers, every page had a corruption scandal. She told me, check every paper from today. You'll always find somewhere money has been stolen. Then, a few weeks after, we are seated at our base, Katonga. Then an old man called Honorable Chairman Chapa Karuhanga came and was asking us, what did your father do? What your aspiration? We are compared. Then he told us that the kind of looting that is happening in this country, you're going to stop seeing people stealing money in millions, and you'll hear people steal money in billions. From what I've been seeing in this country since Chogam and the Global Fund, it's only newcomers or people who were born yesterday who are surprised by what we are seeing. That report was in Parliament, I think, in the last term.
September 2023.
Yes.
That's true.
And they investigated. That report never came to the floor of Parliament. If you touch that report, I was asking permission from my colleagues if I should read the names, and they told me no, wait a little. you would be shocked. It would be like the famous scandal in South Africa of the Goopitas, those guys that caused the Zuma problems, and the God something scandal in Kenya, where almost everybody, the who is who in Kenya, both in politics and the anti-politics, are in there. The cooperative money you've brought here, and then for me you front the one Mawanda, who a few Ugandans can even feel is an abuse of the people of Uganda. There's something they want us to think, and after a few weeks it will drizzle out. You know, after he gets bail, I know today he is in court, he'll go to Zira, and a few weeks, or even if they decide a month, it will be packed. If he's to tell you that report, if they said they want to arrest everybody, the good thing Parliament has gone to recess for a month, Parliament wouldn't get quorum. If they said they brought their fans to pick them, wouldn't see quorum. Everybody will be, and I want to think they've given themselves a month to see how things move. Because when PDM money comes, New Vision tells us this so much money has been released. If Myoga money is released, they tell us. If there is an increase in money for salaries of soldiers, it is published. How did they release money? For compensation of cooperative unions, and it never appeared anywhere in the papers. It was a designed syndicate, and I want to tell you, it will be on the doorsteps of Mr. Museveni. For us, I've been following PAC. Whenever PAC would squeal good people, they would sweat and then say, let's go to the big man. And they go to the man and say, guys, you know, this is how we handle matters. The whole big scandal of Chogam, the only convict I know was Teddy Seziche, who only ate 30 million. The people who ate billions, kept in Kampala. If we go to that was Global Fund. Chogam, we only saw Gilbert because Gilbert Bukenya, because we know he was ready to prepare for presidency, and I think after negotiating, saying I will never stand for president, he went and back to home. So in what I am seeing here, I think there are people they want to go and nail. Saga, you've seen, you're on the list, but Mawanda is in. You could be going, and I want to tell you, if you went and checked plot 10, Nakasero, you would see people going there to negotiate. I don't know which plot is
plot 1.
Plot 1 in Tebe.
No, State House.
State House. You see people with
Nakasero is 1.
Please forgive me. It's a huge list. Corruption is an enterprise that keeps this government in power. The moment you withdraw corruption out of the equation of the NRM, there's the NRM. NRM has no membership. It is a group of thugs that only binds them are being allowed to steal. So the moment you stop them, they will get out. All of them, you will see now, this one, they will tell you, he has been in charge of discipline. In what? In Pilau. Those eat Pilau. That is rice and what? Rice and beef. Now, is this a disciplinary case, or this is the right thing? Cooperatives, I am telling you, you have seen names of the South being given money for cooperatives in the North in Acholi. I've never had this sort of Uganda having cooperatives in Tororo. Money was dispatched for a cooperative in Tororo in billions. In Tororo. And somebody might be grabbed, or if you negotiate, it won't be grabbed. Huge money. People will talk about 40 billion, 100 billion. You know, it was a feast. Whoever wanted the money, and you would hear people
got money.
Yes, Nobody gets $1 billion shilling in this country without the consent of Mr. Museveni. That budget of yours is written in State House.
You seem to speak with authority.
I am telling you.
You've witnessed that?
No, my business is information. And I think that's the reason why you invited me here. I am not a sweet talker. We are in heavy duty politics. We want to manage this country. So we know who steals what and who does what. That's how we shall be able to fix. If we didn't know, then we wouldn't be in this business. I think it goes to Sare. So those are the guys who manage this budget. You want to tell me that money was in that budget and they didn't know who was going to take what? So it's only possible some people were sent to go and pick the money. When they are sent to pick the money, eventually some of the money remain in their pockets. You know, you could send me to go and pick some money from Apple, 1 million shillings. So eventually for me I got 20k, and I know by the time we will count the 10,000, possibly we would make a mistake, and I think no, the guy won't count, and then you count. When I have to remain with your 20,000. The Mawandas did not take all the money that is allocated on their names. Those are messengers. But possibly they were sent to deliver money and they never delivered money. Cooperatives was the vanguard of the people's liberation in this country, of the people's independence. It was a struggle to allow Africans around 1948 to have cooperatives. The Indians never wanted Ugandans to organize themselves economically. The economy was in the hands of the Indians. If you went and read the book of Professor Samuel Runyigo, Uganda and Indian colony, it was a struggle. And then when they were given when they were allowed to organize around cooperatives, they were able to get their own seeds, to look for money, to look for markets for their coffee, cotton, whichever product they were engaged in. So now at independence, Obote said, okay, this can be used to build the UPC. They went in the hands of UPC. So all the cooperatives were managed by UPC big wings. So cooperatives would support politicians. All these colleagues of mine who were contesting, if you did not have a backing of your cooperative, you wouldn't be able to win. Because they had the money. Then people never voted people because depending on the money. Now when Mr. Museveni reached here and saw that the UPC was anchored, was in the cooperative, said, how do you break the UPC? Break the cooperatives. When they broke them, UPC collapsed and the economy of the people collapsed. Now they brought the politicians who came with the money to buy.
Thank you.
No wonder now when you see in the parliament, every time you are here eroding, because these people need money to go and buy votes. People don't have money, it's the politicians who have money. That's why in Uganda, the politicians are rich, the people who work in government are rich, but those who are in business are poor. VAs are for the politicians, and the people who are doing business are driving wish, as Madam Igigi told us. Your wish, Uganda, your wish. 10 trillion stolen by 200 people every. I'm told it has increased to 20 trillion.
Thank you, Harold, for your perspective. Let me bring in Dennis. Dennis, you have confessed on this program that one of the suspected, I don't want to use the word criminals, but I mean is a suspected and is being implicated as a criminal in the scandal.
One of the suspects.
One of the suspects, Honorable Mawanda. You've confessed that he's your friend, but we know for a fact that legitimately he was not entitled as a beneficiary of this fund. What have you got to say about this whole situation?
You see, I read literature, and there was a quote, was it in The Burden or something? There was a book. I think The Burdens. It must be that when the madness of the entire nation disturbs a solitary mind, it is not enough to say that that mind is mad. The madness of the entire nation, when the madness of an entire nation disturbs a solitary mind like mine, so you are not justified to judge that I'm mad. I want to tell you, corruption is an ideology. Corruption in this country is an ideology. And it repressed morality. It repressed ethics. It repressed some values. For some of us studied and we saw these people whom we used to despise in secondary and university, who you would pick everything. They are the leaders. They're the ones in leadership of parliament, in the cabinet, in parliament, in everywhere. How did those people actually emerge? Some of us who never picked those things, we are failures in society.
No, we are considered.
We are, yes, failures in courts.
For failing to toe
Yes,
the line?
no, we have no praise. Can you contest and win? Can you go to the church and they will come you? They will not. What do you have? First of all, they judge our success based on the size of the house you should be having, the size of the car you should be driving, the schools in which your children will be going, and where, how you should be, and even the hotels. So, I think these people, if it is to talk about hell and heaven, they may have actually either thrown us in hell, or they are themselves in hell. We don't know who is in hell and who's in heaven. We don't know. Either is it us who are in hell, or it's those people who are in hell. But then if they are in heaven, why are they in jail? Why are they actually running away from their own houses, whom they have maneuvered from here and there, stolen here and there, and they have put up? They have everything. They are running away, by the way. I don't know whether that is hell or heaven. I don't know. Because we are also suffering in this side. Because our children are not at school. We are educated, but we are not able to educate our children. It's a dilemma. Reason, the schools which are supposed to be supporting us, the public schools, were dismantled by the very, very, very skilled system. And they introduced private schools. It's where good teachers are. They dismantled the healthcare system, the healthcare sector, the public sector, healthcare. You cannot actually access medication from those government. But anyway, I'm happy that there are some hospitals which are actually now coming up who have improved. But I want to tell you, majority in the villages there, even in the countryside, it is hard actually to get health care from a private public facility. You must go to a private facility and you pay. So our children are now actually, they were also we have been also subjected to their ideology of stealing. We are victims, by the way. That some of us, we fail. We need to confess in camera that our fees bill is too much. You find someone who has 3 children or 4, has a fees bill of about 5 million a term. That is the minimum. And you don't earn that money. And you cannot even send your children to the other schools because you can see there is no future. So this one has forced our people to go and borrow from these so-called circles, which are not circles, but they are money-lending institutions. Because a circle, in the strict sense of the word, should be using the money of those members. The loan portfolio should not be bigger than the share capital and savings. But you find a circle in the village or in the district somewhere which has 100 million share capital, 150 savings, but loan portfolio 3 billion. And that loan portfolio 3 billion did not accumulate from the loaned share capital or savings. Reason? The managers and the leaders actually went into commercial banks and got a loan at around 16% per annum. And then brought that money in the circle and loaned that money to the circle members at about 22%. Now, does that actually still make, is that a circle? It has now even gone beyond being a commercial. But circles are meant to support people who are actually emerging. They are not and do you know why? They should have put up a cooperative bank. Circles are supposed to be banking their money in a cooperative bank. But where are they banking their money? In commercial banks. Circles, we should be at least having an agricultural development bank. But where is the agricultural development facility? Where is it channeled through after the budget? In commercial banks. You find farmers accessing that facility through commercial banks. That is very, very terrible. Now, all these people who have loaned out, who have been given money in those circles, have completely failed to pay, not because they are defaulters. They are people who are naturally, who are crooks, who want to play this bank, this institution. But the majority really are trying to look for money so that they can support their what? Their ventures. But the system, the predatory nature of the economic, of the monetary system has dismantled their life. You find sometimes they default. Once you have defaulted because of failure to pay, that one becomes arrears. Then arrears now attract surcharge, penalties. You find penalties accruing from arrears are now actually more than the principal and
the interest.
You find someone who actually got 5 million from a circle, from somewhere, for money lending there, is paying for 7 years and has been paying for almost 25, 30 millions, but even the principal and the interest has not been paid. You will see, and that person is subjected to the predatory system of commercial financing, commercial banks but why are you denying people their cooperative bank? Why are you denying people their cooperative bank so that they can get money at a low interest rate?
Dennis, the compensation fund is here.
I'm getting you.
It's being abused by
I'm getting you. All this is support is deliberately. It is deliberate not to our society to be arranged like that. Because you see, the one that destroyed cooperatives is the one who cannot easily constitute a cooperative bank. To help those people down there, the self-help groups, the circles, to actually have their money channeled through the cooperative bank down. Because even these commercial banks, majority are owned by foreigners, where some people in the government have got interest themselves. So you can see how the whole thing actually now comes to it's a predatory system where it is a eat-man society. Now I come back to Parliament. Who goes to Parliament? The one who goes to Parliament is the one who has sold his house in Kororo and got 2 billions and then enters into the constituency. Is the one who has stolen money somewhere, the majority. The one who has budgeted his money, knowing that in Parliament there is this much to eat and this much to share. So all these people you see, the majority in Parliament are dealers. They are not leaders. In fact, the majority are coming from a corrupt business system, a corrupt business world. When they realize that in business the things were not working well, they realize that there is payment and a system, money actually in the Parliament, that allocation and all the benefits and opportunities associated with that. Then they calculated it. With their pens and the calculators, they said, we can get that money in Parliament.
Thank you, David.
How can we get that money? We must put in the money. When, for example, Mawanda, the one you're talking about, I come from Bushenyi, Igara East. As I sum up, if there is anybody who has ever used the money in a constituency during elections, Mawanda must be the first, must top the list. Where you find that an MP has virtually put money everywhere, causes an impression. And his first, he's a good friend, but he's my friend, but these are fundamentals. So when I talk about general issues, I don't see Mawanda. Because he becomes now also an activist of something. But when it comes to friendship, he's a friend. There I cannot hang him. But when we are talking about Uganda, he's actually a victim of that. Mawanda, my brother Michael, and others, very many in Parliament, used a lot of money. There is a time when I contested. Of course I contested in the last elections. But people were looking at me as a joker. I would speak, I would articulate, they say, but you want where you going? Someone has just mobilized the people in a hall and has given them 200,000, 200,000, 200,000, 100,000, and for you are coming with your tie.
Dennis, I'm going to
so please, what you see in Parliament is in the churches, is in the constituency, is among the voters, is everywhere. It was designed. If we are not careful, anyway. But there is nobody.
I'll return to you so that you can tell us. Moses, the president, in the most recent past, has come out strongly to vow of his determination to stamp corruption out of government and out of the country as a whole. What does this emerging saga regarding the Cooperatives Compensation Fund tell us? Is this because Kaija here referenced and said that if you investigate carefully, you realize that he's actually the originator of this whole thing? Is this a president that we should credit? Is this a sign that he's really serious about his vision to stamp corruption out of the country? Or it's just a passing, fad as has been the story?
I think we have elections in a year's time. Yeah, that's 2026. So it's a year from now, a year and a half from now. And when it gets to election period, you start seeing such issues coming up. Corruption, this and this. You're talking about the president. President Museveni recently said that he's okay as long as the thieves or the corrupt people that are taking people's money, taxpayers' money, are reinvesting that money in the country. And he's also the same guy that tells you, I'm going to tackle down on corruption. So which one does he prefer? Or who is he? Because when you look at the 500 member of parliaments that we have in the current parliament, there are two types of people in that parliament. The first one, those that have money and they just need power to protect the money that they have, and those that he called them a failed state from the business, from the business perspective. They had where they could actually get some money and go and splash it in the constituency. Because I stood for member of parliament in the previous election. The issue that I had was, that there was a prejudice against a young person, because I think I was 23 back then. But the honest truth is the monetization of the campaigns. However articulate you are, however good you are, whether the sustainable policies that you're coming up with or the ideas that you have for your people, if your bags are not full, you're not getting into the parliament. And now you have people that are protecting their money, however they got it, that's okay with them. And these ones that are now looking for, because it's now a business. I sold maybe a plot of land somewhere, I attained 2 billion or 3 billion, put it in the campaigns, because I know at the end of the five-term period, I'll have attained maybe 15 billion or 20. So it's a business for them. And now you have an entity that is literally, it's literally fighting for money. There is nothing else. And it's more of their own interests. So when you hear cooperatives coming up, or the issue of cooperatives, and a certain entity is getting money that is not supposed to be allocated to that person, talk about Michael Mawanda, and then you wonder whether what Harold was saying about UPC using cooperatives to hold onto power is the same thing that, because you have to ask questions, how did Michael Mawanda, right, get to have that money? He's now the chair for PLU, because he loves some of the people. So is it like a well-orchestrated move for PLU to get into power, and they are using taxpayers' money to actually buy voters? Because I've had some arguments or theories that they don't want to get into power or any electrical things right now. They just need to have the largest number of members of opposition. I don't know how true that is, but that could be an assumption. And where are they going to get the money that they are going to use to get the member of parliaments into the parliament if they're not getting into the schemes like what they are getting into? So for my commander, it's quite unfortunate that he's now the face of the cover story, but there are deeper issues. He talked about how he had a conversation with a colleague in 2011. I think it was in 2011. And like every newspaper that you're reading, there is a corruption issue. Right now, I think there are no longer corruption issues because they have found a way of framing those issues to be legally binding. So it's just theft. They are just stealing money. You have I'm just going to call it a population of 500 people because they are no longer representing people's interests. So we should just call it a sector population that is just there, steal money, of 500 people that is just looking for money from all angles possible to get back into the positions of power that they are in.
Does the president have the capacity to rein in this problem?
And this all goes back to President Museveni. He has studied the political dynamics of the country, and he knows well how to orchestrate everything to his benefit. Because if you have, of course, he knows the people that already have money. Most probably, most of them will be coming back to the parliament, so he's going to shield those ones. My command had, but for some weird reasons, I think he's involved into so many political entities that he's now confused. That's why he's being scapegoated onto. So I'm not going to comment on his issue. But then you have, now he's using the ones that have something to protect for. They've already gotten loans from the banks, they've sold maybe their property, and they just need to get money from the parliament. So he's using them to tell them, hey, I've understood the language that you all speak, it's money. And here I am, I have money. I am the bank. So it's like he has the bank. When you look at these donations that you're seeing in the budget, he has, I think, a classified budget of 100 billion. That's for just his family.
160.
Then you have 160 that is classified for, I think he has 130 over that 160 for donations. That's the money that is going to be splashed in elections. You have today's budget, maybe next year's budget, and you have about 300 billion. And 300 billion is going to bring quite a number of people into power. And all of them, they won't be voting against the issues that are actually affecting the people of the nation, but they will just be submitting. Because what people do in parliament is just raise hands on what President Museveni has said. If he wants something, they will just raise hands. No one thinks in the parliament currently, as long as there is money. So it's not that Museveni wants to cut down on the corruption. I think it's a way of showing Ugandans that, hey, I'm now serious, so give me your vote, and everything is going to be worked upon.
Apollo, you are a journalist, and of course, you represent the public watchdog in Parliament. I know you are familiar with the contents of this report, which has implicated Honorable Mawanda and Honorable Modima. But I think Kaija, in his opening remarks, made quite a profound revelation that they are not the only people who are adversely implicated in that report. So I ask the question, why is it the case that there is selective accountability? Why are the other people being shielded from possible prosecution, but these two are being in court scapegoated for the criminal enterprise of so many? How is this possible? Why is it the case?
Thank you so much, moderator, and I must thank the panelists. They made very brilliant submissions, and I agree with most of what they have said. But I was lucky I was in Parliament when the report was being developed. The committee was probing the issue of cooperatives, and I oversaw the process of, I was there to see the process of the processing the report and how it happened. Yes, Kaija, you are right. You said there are very many people out there maybe who have been let off the hook. I can take you back to around December last year, when the Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives appeared before the Committee of Parliament during the same probe. Honorable Harriet Ntabazi,
that's the state,
made it very clear that more than 30 members of Parliament will not escape this scandal of cooperatives' money. And she even said that some of them belong to the opposition. She talked about 5 talkative members of opposition that are also part of the more than 30 members who will be actually implicated in this issue of corruption. So I agree that there could be others who have not been highlighted in this case. But again, during the short-term presentation of the report, because the report, after the committee made its findings, concluded the findings, the administrators of Parliament wanted the report to go without debate, to be referred to the office of the DPP, to the IGG and CID without being approved by Parliament, by the whole House. And it was Honorable Kwizera from Chisolo who raised the issue, and the report was temporarily brought to Parliament, but the debate on that report was very, very limited, and it was endorsed. But during that short interaction of members in the whole House, it is Honorable Commander Daudi who is on record. He stood out and demanded that the report should be debated wholesomely, because he had information there were other members of Parliament who should be implicated in this whole probe, who are missing in the report. He made it clear, he's on record. And like I said, if you again take up what the minister said, that more than 30 members of Parliament are implicated in this whole corruption probe of cooperative funds, you can agree with Kaija and others that indeed Michael Mawanda and Honorable Mudimi are not the only people who should be actually. Maybe we can give them a benefit of doubt that this is the beginning, but I think there are very many more members of Parliament who should be on the hook for this particular scandal. But again, this scandal reflects the high level of corruption in this country, the systematic and syndicated corruption in this country. Because now, in this case, we have members of Parliament. Actually, from what I know and what I've heard, even from both sides of the House, from the opposition and NRM, you have now a lawyer. If you read the report, it implicates lawyers who connived.
Several law firms.
And law firms who connived in this case. Now you have MPs, legislators, you have lawyers being implicated, you have technocrats from the Ministry of Trade who are also implicated. I think even one of them last evening was also on the list of those who are going to be arraigned in the anti-corruption court, a lawyer. So you see now that this shows you how corruption has permeated the core of our society, where you have people who are entrusted with the leadership of this country, people who belong to professional bodies and are all implicated in a corruption scandal. But on the other hand, I want to differ from my colleagues to appreciate the little positive that I can see in this scandal now. Now that we have members of Parliament being arrested and arraigned in court, I think that's in one way or another sending a signal to even other members of Parliament. Somebody was joking about the leadership of Parliament sending members of Parliament into recess for the whole 1 month. And they were saying that in any way, if they were not going into a recess, they wouldn't be appearing in Parliament, because many of them are in a state of disarray, because nobody knows who is going to be picked the next day. You get what I'm saying?
No, most of them are suspects.
Exactly.
So they are not sure if they are part of the list that
Exactly.
but they are suspects.
So I'm saying,
So they wouldn't be
with members of parliament now even fearing to appear into the house, I mean to come to the house, that tells you that somehow there is a positive in this, in what is happening, that now there is some level of fear that if that at one point you'll pay for your sins, or corruption can actually lead you to prison. We have a member of Parliament, Paul Akamba, now nobody knows where he is. There's no proper record of where he is. It is now going to 5 days, I think. A member of Parliament, I mean, absent and nobody knows. So that I think there is some positive message that is coming out
Some
from
sort
all
of
this
deterrent.
scandal. Yes, that now that we can even rearrest a member of parliament within the precincts of court. Well, it's very bad. It's inhumane. It's against his human rights. But of course, I'm saying we can see something positive out of it, that there is that signal, that deterrent signal that is now going out to the public, or even officials who are in offices of authority, that this time round, maybe, I want to give President Museveni a benefit of doubt. And I authored an article that ran in the Daily Monitor last week. That is what I was saying. That we may think that this is the Museveni who has always protected people who have even been convicted of corruption, of the involvement in corruption. But President Museveni is running out of options. He has introduced several programs, Myoga, they have not worked for him. I, in that opinion, think that this time around, President Museveni can use the corruption card to whip the votes in 2026. And indeed, you can look and listen from what he's saying. I'm declaring a war on corruption. Those who are corrupt will not escape this one. I am sure, and it is in my conviction, that he can ride on this card come 2026 to get the votes in 2026.
Apollo, before we take a break in just a minute, how do you reconcile the charges leveled against Honorable Mawanda and his counterpart regarding this saga and his close affinity, you could say, to the powers that be, given that he's one of the core supporters and members of the Patriotic League of Uganda, which is the vehicle that is doing the political bidding for the first son to succeed the father in power? How do you reconcile that?
To me, it's a knockout, a straight knockout, as this new formation tries to garner support and to establish itself. Now you have the senior cadres being picked and implicated in corruption scandals. It's a big dent in the prospects of PLU, and I really agree that there is this presumption of guilt, of innocence. But from the reports we have read, from the observations that have been made, Honorable Michael Mawanda may not escape this, and it is really bad for PLU. And from what I know, he may not be the only person in PLU possibly to be implicated in this corruption scandal.
Thank you for your perspective, Apollo. Focus on Parliament now takes a short break. When we return, we continue the discourse on the Cooperatives Union Compensation Fund saga involving 2 members of Parliament. See you back shortly.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media, or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back. This is the Focus on Parliament show on Civic Space TV. In this segment, we continue to interrogate the scandal regarding the Cooperative's compensation fund, where 2 members of parliament have been implicated. And in the course of this week, we've witnessed very extraordinary events coming against the backdrop of other members of parliament that were implicated in a separate corruption scandal. The 2 members of parliament are Honorable Michael Mawanda, who is a representative of Igara East, and Honorable Mudimi Wamakuyu, who represents Elgon County in eastern Uganda.
Mr. Moderator, even Paula Kamba is also implicated in this issue.
In the new scandal? Oh, thanks for that clarification. Harold, once again, I want you to address quite a sensitive subject. And this is to do with the opposition members of parliament who have also been adversely named as suspects in this scandal. We are yet to see the summons that have been issued against them by the police. But when you interrogate the report, you see the names. They are suspects. So, as a member of the opposition, as a change crusading agent, what have you got to say about that? Doesn't it discredit the cause of the opposition?
First of all, I'm not a member of the opposition. Opposition presupposes that there is a serious government and those opposing it. We are being led by a junta and member of the oppressed.
But who subscribes to a political party?
Which is in the
which is an
opposition.
opposition political
I
party.
said I am not a member of the opposition. I'm part of the captives fighting to free ourselves. One person said, in the garden of Satan, it is hard to harvest good deeds. So we live in a garden of Satan. Mr. Museveni has structured the politics of this country in a way that it is about you. You do not represent the people, you represent yourself. That's why in whatever is given, it is person to holder. They give you a car, they give you medical insurance when actually you went there to fix the health sector. They give you, others are given scholarship for their children when actually you went to fix the education system. So all that they give you security when we're supposed to go and address the security matters of this so that everybody is secure. They give you siren vehicles to clear the road when actually your campaign was about making sure we have good roads and we sort the jam issues. So all the issues that you are supposed to go to Parliament or in office to fix for you get sorted. So you no longer feel the problems. Because if you have a lead car, you never feel you have jam on this road. If you have a health insurance, you never feel the burden of paying medical bills. If you have scholarship for your children, it is the same. If your holidays are in Canada, the US, so those are the kind of leaders we have. And it's a system we want to dismantle. We have, as all my colleagues talked about, the commercialization of politics. Today, the best speaker will not win an election. The one who can mobilize borders, give them fuel, the one who can mobilize musicians and have a stage like the one that that you find in Lugogo would bring the best measure to be who they would be paying 20,000 to watch. And say, for me, I've paid it. So now they come and sing for you, and then the guy comes and say, I am so tired, but let me leave you with your musician. Say, yes! They are happy, and they will vote you. The one who can buy food, mobilize food and prepare food. So that is the kind of situation everybody plays in. Today, to win a constituency, the ones here in the urban, the least you need is 500 million. If you went where Dennis, wherever they come from,
1 billion.
if you don't have 3 billion,
Yeah.
you joker. There is a woman in Bushen who came to Parliament and used about 5 billion.
Yeah.
She's the wife of a very big person who works in government. So an employee of the taxpayer can mobilize 5 billion for the wife. Another woman who works in national water is in one of the districts in Kigezi. Recently, she went at a function where the bishop was mobilizing money. The area MP brought 1 million, and this one brought 100 million. When the Muslims were having their Eid, you know, in these WhatsApp groups, every mosque she sent a car, which the area MP cannot. Now, if this MP sees where there is money, they say, there's money, you're competing with another woman, what do you do? So the designing of the politics, to remove ideas from the politics, what we are saying. The late Yona Kanyomos, I met him at one of the functions, and he said, before the revolution, we are told there is a revolution here. When a leader went to his constituency, they bought him a vehicle, they brought him suits, they even gave him food, come and what? When he's coming back to Kampala. So actually he would go to his bosses.
Yeah.
Therefore they were even able to ask for accountability. Today, if you met an MP going to the constituency, you must first go to the bank. If you don't have money, go to a money lender. Pick 50 million. I've asked MPs, how much money do you need to spend a day? To spend in a week, He said every week you must have on your mobile money 5 million. To send how much? 50,000, 10,000. But if you are saying you're going to put your foot in the constituency, you need about 20 to 50 million. If you don't go with money and say, nobody will care to listen to you. That is where we are. In a country where Mr. Museveni has deliberately refused to put services in the country. There are no services in the country, everybody is poor. So now who is rich? The MP.
Politicians.
No, the MP. Because even the councillors, people look at the councillors, people must come just attend barrios. But the MP. The MP is the one in charge of the parish, the sub-county, the village, and the district. So no wonder. And now what he does, he shows them the money. You know, they call you, they even set you up. When actually the target is Apple. That's why no wonder. On all the lists that I have heard of people that are in, it is Mwanda in and Modin. Ugandans have just heard the name of Modin in this corruption scandal. You know, he has not been controversial in Parliament. He has not, presented presented a bill that is very popular. He has not made any headline, even a feeder. They call them feeders in newspapers, where if some space that they put it, his name is nowhere. But now he appears in a very big scheme of cooperatives. So we have told you there is we call it there is state capture and the state collapse.
What's the way forward as a change crusading agent?
The way forward is done by every serious Ugandan. Every serious Ugandan. The reason why I say I am not opposition. For me, I am a change, crusade, and a captive. Those are both this side of what you call opposition and the other side. You know that people masquerade as NRM. When I them NRM, they don't even look like NRM. Because I know how an NRM person looks like. If you can struggle to send your kids to school, you're not NRM. If you can struggle to look for fuel, to pay for medical fees, to have a house and all of that, you're not NRM, you're only in support of NRM. So all of those are captives like us. Only that for us, we are captives who can speak about what affects us, but for them, they cannot speak. They speak in whispers and they clap when we speak. They say, you've spoken for me. I meet them. I meet soldiers, I meet public servants, I meet everyone. I even meet ministers. Kaija, thank you. Keep holding forward. Say that, guys, it is becoming heavy. Come and help us and hold. So what we must do is we must collapse this thing called the Mr. 7 and the company enterprise. We must collapse it and have a transition. And we're debating about a transition because no single political party can come and fix the problems we're having. It will only be a substitute or new wine in old bottles. So what we need a transition, which must do 4 things.
Quickly, as
First of all, rewrite our constitution and distribute power. Today, all the powers of this country are put in one man. Even if Dennis is a very good man and became president, will become another what? 7. If given this constitution to implement. Then 2, rebuild our institutions. Today, Mr. Museveni has become the institutions of Uganda and Museveni and Musevenism, and make them independent work for everybody. 3, put up a commission of reconciliation. Uganda has been divided like never before. We are no longer Ugandans. Everybody looks at a team so one or the other. We against them. Then when we do that after uniting the people of Uganda, then organize a free and fair election. Where those who are in this government must not participate in those elections so that they prepare a Uganda where there will be subordinates to the leading government.
Thank you, Howard, for your views. Dennis, do you have faith in the process that the law and justice order sector institutions have now instituted against the suspects? Can it restore the public confidence and trust in the government as a strong instrument that can stamp out corruption, in the words of Mr. Museveni? Is this a positive signal for you?
Thank you. Maybe I will have to respectfully comment on my brother Kaija's mention of a woman in Bushenyi, and then later brought in the name of the husband, and I suspected maybe he must have been alluding to the current woman MP. And maybe the husband must have been alluding to, and he actually mentioned the National Water Managing Director, Silva Mugisha. And these people are my personal friends. I am sorry, I'm conflicted here. And I supported this woman for Parliament. And I think her concept was that she had a Mugisha Community Welfare Organization that was an NGO which actually went deep and addressed some very many challenges of the people. And in a way, of course, there are involved some facilitation and others, but her concept of empowering women, especially at the grassroots, has been working, and she was able to overwhelmingly win in a way. I saw her mode, which actually I support. And even the man, the husband, Dr. Silva Mugisha, the way he interacts with the population in the whole country, and how he has also been very instrumental in pushing this national water deep into those towns. I think they are doing a recommendable job. I wanted actually to make that comment.
But I think the crux of his argument was that he was questioning, number one, the source of the funds, given that the said players, the said actors in those processes are, number one, government employees or public officials. So that in itself, it raises ethical questions. In broad terms.
He has his own sources. But me, I was trying to give my perspective. So I cannot really say that is not telling the truth or is telling the, but to me, I had to bring in my perspective in that regard on how I perceive these people, and especially this woman MP and the managing director national, so that when I'm seated with him, I don't think when you talk about, for example, when you start talking about messages.
No, he didn't mention the name.
No, I never mentioned the name.
He did. I can defend him. He did.
There's a recording.
Someone is talking about another one in water. You can see that.
Yes.
But anyway, when you talk about
That was in Kavali.
Kano, retired Kano message here, I know if I mentioned about something to allude to, Kaija cannot live here without making some clarification. Because it will be construed to have been the one now who told it, who said that I should talk about it. So
They never gave me any information.
no, not at all. You shouldn't make a disclaimer, but those really have also done a very good job. Now, your question about, life is about conflicts. Sometimes there are situations where you feel conflicted, but that shouldn't be really that you don't have a principle you expose. You see, my challenge here is Parliament being hunted. I would be much comfortable if Parliament was hunting. Those hunting Parliament should be hunted by Parliament. I am very disappointed that some thieves or some robbers they would be perceived to be the one robbing are the ones implicating the watchman. I don't know whether my metaphor actually makes because the watchman, Parliament is the people's watchdog. The watchman, the main.
No, one of the roles of the legislature is oversight.
Oversight. That is actually the principle, one of the principal roles. Now, when you are being oversighted, then what are you doing there? You see, that's where the whole thing actually loses. And this goes back to how it was designed. The day politics were captured by mafias. Elections, mafiaism. Civil service, mafiaism. Public service commissions, mafiaism. Education system, mafiaism. Health system, mafiaism. Mafiaism at the center of everything. Because you virtually feel as if we lack a value system. What are these children being taught in primary, in secondary, in the university, and even when they join civil service, even in politics? Because when you look at even the youth leagues of these political parties, the way those youths are corrupt, the elections, when they are conducting the elections, you wonder whether these people will make any positive contribution to this country. When you go to the youth elections of any kind, how money is exchanging hands openly.
All college elections.
All college
They are
elections.
full of money.
College elections. You find someone, a certain candidate, has mobilized all the voters and took them to a certain hotel in Ntina, and they are there being fed like chicken. You find people putting on suits like me. They are being fed. They have been fed by buses, and then the buses are stationed there, ferry them back, and then put them where they. You find, I think there is a very big problem. You see, I think if we cannot.
You state that there is a problem. Can you point at the source of the problem?
You see,
what's the possible cause of
the source of the problem is stagnated politics. The politics of NRM have stagnated. It has stagnated. I repeat it. Even the most hit victim of this stagnation is NRM. The NRM party itself, because you don't know where it belongs. Is it in Chadolo? Is it in Chambogo? Is it in where you find there is a very big problem? Because now when you look at how the stagnation is, that the party itself, I would really be much comfortable belonging to the movement. Because the history of the movement is the history of liberation. And I want to tell you, the movement system, the movement politics reinstated a certain order within the state structure, which was missing. So whoever comes here and then and castigates and demonizes the historical mission of the movement as nothing that had no positive impact on the development of this country and even the region, may I disagree with that person. There was a need for that line to appear, and it appeared, and it solved very, very many problems. But midway, the thing lost the direction. Now, that's why even when you ask President Museveni, which system are you controlling? He may not be comfortable to tell you which system is controlling. But what I know is the president of this country, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and almost becoming a DPP, a director of public prosecutions. Because it's as if now orders to arrest are likely to be coming from his side, which are supposed to be coming from institutions. And two, I recently witnessed it in Parliament when they were soliciting for those signatures. Some MPs were saying, we want first hear what the president is saying. For an MP who was elected by the electorates in Parliament, a third arm of government, you are only waiting to hear what the president will be pleased with for you to be able to sign. Really? You can see now, and I think it's right, and I support him. You pick all of them. Pick all of them, even to the top. President Museveni, we are behind you. Maybe we are the ones who are going to reinstate a very serious parliament. These ones have actually surrendered everything to the executive. I'm very happy that the executive is also now actually on them. Because you see, parliament is supposed to, it should have been parliament to be putting executive on pressure.
As you sum up, Dennis.
Yes, as I sum up, maybe really, do I need even to sum up? Isn't that one sum up? I want to tell you, Parliament should have been the one to put the executive on what?
Pressure.
On pressure. But you can see what, because this gentleman actually, in his submission, I think it was the press, Apollo, who said that virtually, even if they had not gone for recess, there is no way how Parliament would have raised any quorum. Because virtually every parliamentarian is on the run. That means there is a crisis in the country. That means the country has remained on two arms, the executive and the judiciary. So now the president can issue decrees.
The executive is chasing the
MPs.
The judiciary is waiting for
to prosecute them. Now where is it? Are we represented? So this crisis, but this here, I don't see the religious leaders. You religious leaders with your financial pressure also, you are causing all of this.
No, some of them, their names are there.
You religious leaders, you much as you are taking us to heaven. But this one has not become hard for us before we go to heaven. Religious leaders, where are you?
Thank you, Dennis.
Religious leaders, where are you? Know this. Because for you also still, do you want to claim that you are living in heaven? When there is a crisis, you go to heaven. When it ends, you come back. Please, be part of this.
They have stars.
And I want to tell you, we are watching you also, but we belong to you, because ultimately we shall be in your hands when we are no more. But please, much as we are with you and you are with us, be part of the solution, because you are the custodians and the guardians of morality. You are the vanguards of ethics. Restore ethics and restore ethics in politics and condemn corruption.
Thank you, Dennis, for your perspective. Moses, you are a parliamentary hopeful for the next electoral cycle.
Let's go to that parliament.
In 2026. I want to put the question to you. Now that Parliament is also at the center of issues to do with maladministration, abuse of power, authority, lack of purpose, zero promotion of accountability as regarding the taxpayers' purse and the taxes that they pay. What have you got to say regarding this issue? How can we restore the public faith and confidence in the authority and power of Parliament to check the government as a whole. Because it now looks like the tables have been flipped. As Dennis here correctly points out, Parliament is supposed to be actually originating some of these processes to prosecute people and bring them to book for abusing the public purse. But today we witness something very strange. Members of Parliament rather being prosecuted for corruption.
I think it all originates from society. We, the people, we are the problem. Because, okay, not necessarily that we are the problem, but I think we are the fundamental problem. We are supposed to put people in power that we think are going to deliver services for us. And what do? He was talking about how they garner all these young people, even old people, put them in buses, make them travel. If they're coming from Chisoro, they will come, go to Serena, have a meal, maybe there for coffee, and then in the evening they put them back to buses and take them back to where they're coming from. And that's a problem that we have as society. Maybe it's a problem that has been created by the government. So when you hear Harold saying that he's energetic to make sure that he makes the big man up there drop down, maybe I support him in a way, but because we are supposed to have systems that are creating a society that is informed to make sure that they are able to put people that have ideologies and policies in power to come and implement them. But in a sense, now we are putting people that are, if someone gives me 1,000, or if someone came to my barrio and they gave me 50,000, that's the person I'm going to vote because at least they thought about me. But then that's not how we are supposed to be selecting leaders as a society. We have a role to play in this. I think it's one of the things that activists are doing. The Kaijas, everyone that is talking about the impunity of the systems that we have. They are trying to awaken the society, to tell them that, hey, look, we know there is a big problem ahead of us, but you're also part of the problem. And if you want us to solve, or if you want to solve the other problem, at least be a player in solving that problem. And being a player is, I think, educate. But I also blame we, the leaders, my brother here, my colleague, all of them, because they're supposed to be telling society, look, the people that you're putting in power are the problem. We are the people that put those members of parliament into power because they gave us 20,000, 1,800 shillings, something like that. They bought their way up there. So you don't expect anything big from them.
But that has been a persistent chorus from, I think, a large section of especially the leaders in the civil society, but also a few politically conscious leaders. Like, of course, I can cite even from just on this platform, Mr. Harold here, and most of his colleagues. So why is that message failing to sink into the psyche, the political psyche of the masses? What is the impediment? Because I can also, flip it the other way around and paint for you a rather strange scenario. Not strange per se, but interesting. So supposedly you are elected in 2026, you enter parliament, but most of the fundamentals that underpin the Ugandan state do not change. Mr. Museveni is president again. He elects maybe out of the same pool most of the cabinet ministers as he has in this term of office. What's going to change? I mean, you're going to be there, maybe a lone voice, or you simply have limited support. What's going to happen?
I think the problem that we have in this country is poverty. And I'm sorry to say, I was going through, I think, a post on the Nile post, so if that's okay saying that here, and they were saying 20% of the people in Uganda, it's only 20% of the people in Uganda that are poor. Such misinformation that comes from all these civil society organizations, because it was an SDG report that was saying 20% of the people in Uganda are only poor. I think it should have been like the other way around.
Sponsored stories.
But it was printed out. in a credible media organization?
Yeah, they can. They can. World over, organizations and governments sponsor stories. The media person sponsor stories to push some kind of a narrative.
Now that's what I'm trying to tell him. Even the civil society organizations that we have, they have an agenda that they are trying to push out there. Maybe they're not doing a good job. But you see, I think there is a saying that says, if you want to be rich in Uganda currently, just wake up and become a pastor. Because people are so naive right now, because of poverty, that anything that gives them hope, a glimpse of it, they will attach themselves to that.
I'm going to start saying hope.
So right now, I think people are just looking for hope from everywhere. But as leaders or people that want to get into positions of power where we think we can actually contribute to change, we need to understand that we have a responsibility on our shoulders. Yes, we are going to get there. Maybe I'm the only one that is there. Maybe my brother also makes it there. And we get to be two people. But look at the other systems that we have. The ministries are not functioning, the judiciary. I mean, we are saying that we have two arms of the government right now that are running, but the executive, you just have to put it aside. I mean, they have mastered the art of corruption, so basically you may not even find corrupt cases in the executive arm. But they are massive there. It's just that we don't know about them. The judiciary, now the arm of the government that is supposed to be running against the judiciary, can't be seen anywhere. Because now they are running for their lives. So we need to have that civic education within the society to make sure that the people that we are going to be putting in the parliament, the number may not be big, but at least have a number that is substantive to have a say, rather than having a number that is, you know, they just say, the yellow people, they don't think, as long as Museveni has said something, it's all about raising your hand and saying, yeah.
He has said it himself that he wouldn't mind a sloppy and maybe politically unconscious MP, provided his NRM.
Who have been lucky, who have been here, born in this city. In 2001, Kwagala North had one of the best MPs then. He was the son of the late president.
Olole.
He was called Olole. And his nickname was Computer. The computer.
He is called, he's still alive.
Yes, he's called his nickname is Computer. He was the incumbent MP. So Mr. Museveni had his mediocre contesting. He wanted to run in Kasulu. And people said, for us we shall vote you, but here what Computer? He said, I don't waste your time on the computers. For me what matters is, if somebody is NRM and can go and sleep in Parliament, but with the time when we need to vote, the person says, hey! And well, that is okay. That is when our politics collapsed.
Exactly.
Apollo.
We need, I think
no, you can conclude, Moses, if you need to.
We need now to galvanize a political system that is based on ideas and policies, rather than having rallies and bring musicians or paying people to just go on rallies so that you have numbers without having any sensible points or sustainable policies that you're going to actually work for the people or put it out there to benefit the country. So I think pushing all the systems that we have, the political systems that we have, the arms of the governments, make sure that at least we can have two operational arms of the government, at least. But right now, I don't even know whether we have any. We might be having only one person. He said that it must be the president that is now going to also be the UPPA.
No, not must, he is the DPP.
He is. So literally, like, he is the person that is running the country. The judge,
prosecutor,
the prosecutor,
the police, investigating.
exactly, everything.
And
So at
the
least
forgiver.
the forgiver. And the worst is that he forgives. You know, I think I was watching one of the TV stations yesterday, and it was Betty Kamya. Betty Kamya? No. Maria Matembe. And she said that there were people that they caught when she was still a minister with proper evidence of corruption.
Okay, read one of our books. It has a brown cover. destroying democracy.
Yes.
She said, actually that's when I learned. Whenever you see Mr. Museveni not appointing people in offices, they will create, you call it an elakona, create an elakona that they will use.
Yeah.
Now we are spending 3 years out of what? A governor. Also they will say, if you went and put this years also, you might say, no, the money, the custodian of Uganda's money is the governor back of Uganda. At the time he was not there, so there was no money, what? Missing. So there was a time when there was no DPP. Muhwezi was arrested. When they went to court, they say the DPP is the one that is supposed to sanction
Exactly.
and do prosecution of people who steal public money. So it was not fully constituted, so there was no case.
They let him off the hook.
Now he just pardons people for the sake of, we don't know, whether friendship or political ambitions. Yeah.
Apollo.
Maybe before Apollo, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I really, sometimes
In a minute.
I don't
Dennis.
want to overblame Museveni. Because if you become a fool, by the time you become a member of parliament, I expected some caliber of someone who can say, this is my country. This is good for the country. That's why I travel with this constitution. There's a time when I was doing law at my first year, I wanted to, when we had just changed this age limit, I interacted with Professor Roka, and I said I should leave this constitution. I don't want to read constitutional law. He said, please, you man, don't be too angry to that level.
Yeah.
This remains our supreme law. Just he counseled me, and I loved this constitution again. Much as it has got some uturi, but it is my supreme law of the land. This is my chief guarantor of my sovereignty, of my peace and stability. When I am elected, I want to tell you, even if you are President Museveni, you put the camera and you see, and I swear by this constitution, and I'm holding the Bible because I'm a Christian, I will resign where necessary, but I cannot be dumped.
But then the problem is
thrown
that they don't
here.
have their...
Then you,
Let me first invite Apollo.
we must protect our constitution.
And the bank calls you
Because
and
you
they
know
are saying
the
you
point
have...
of people who go to parliament.
Yes.
And how the process is designed.
This is
to
our
have those very people.
This is our law.
If you have a parliament where about 100 people are in a parliament without qualifications,
It's our law.
eh? Someone doesn't have senior 4.
The bare minimum?
Yes. And he's there and he's aware those in power know it. Do you expect that
They
person
even
to...
hit commissions. I saw one
stand
that was
with you.
getting a commission.
Apollo,
Yes,
in your original submission, you stressed the important point that it's not all doom and gloom, that there is now a resurgent move and push to stem corruption from government, but also the broader Ugandan society. So I want to ask the question, where do you see these processes concluding? And in the event that the MPs, the first two, Akamba and Honorable Mire Namuju, and then these two, Honorable Mawanda and Honorable Mudimi, are successfully prosecuted, and then the DPP is able to obtain convictions. Will this be a sufficient, like you put it originally, will it be a sufficient deterrent measure against corruption? Because corruption has now, like you said in your words, it has permeated each and every fiber of the Ugandan society. The president himself lamented, I think, on the occasion of the State of the Nation address, that CAO's district accounting officers are perpetuating corruption. People are paying bribes, huge sums of money to get employed in the district service and whatnot. So is this really a sufficient measure to deter corruption at such a broad national scale?
It cannot be. But like I said, it provides that glimmer of hope that possibly we can do it. We talked about the cooperatives saga now that is ongoing, and during the break I shared with Dennis here how the now implicated 3 MPs are being accused of diverting 7.2 billion Ugandan shillings. But then we know that the whole issue, the whole probe, the monies that were misappropriated goes to 164 billion Ugandan shillings. So it's just a drop. It could be the beginning, but it's just a drop in the ocean. Like we said, there must be other people who dipped their fingers in the cooperatives funds compensation and their state. So we can only wait to see how it progresses. We can only wait to see how it progresses. This is only one entity, one issue of cooperatives.
But what if it's politically motivated on the other end? Because now there is also, I think, that strand of reasoning. What if actually it is the president that has orchestrated this entire scheme to maybe facilitate a political aim? Won't we now lose the whole purpose?
I said it, and I said I have that conviction that President Museveni can somehow sustain this anti-corruption campaign regardless of results, but he can sustain it for political benefit until 2026 when we go to polls. Then he drops it. Otherwise, that's my conviction. Because we have seen it before. What happened with the Bank of Uganda probe? The report was released and adopted.
You could say no one was ever prosecuted for that.
So I was, yes. So I think we can only wait. Yes, it gives us hope. We who want to see things change. Me, I'm lucky. I'm not like my brothers here who want to go to Parliament. Me, I think.
No, we don't want to go to Parliament.
Me, I think.
Represent people's issues.
Yeah, me, I don't think that going to Parliament or having people who abhor corruption going to Parliament will change anything, because the system is rotten. It is rotten. I believe that President Museveni is the one who created this monster. He has a big role to play in eliminating the same monster. That is my belief. That is my belief. That he still has the power in his hands during the time he is still in office to play his part in fighting corruption. I am not saying that he can eliminate it, because, like I said, it has permeated even the core of our society. It will take time.
Yeah.
And of course, we know that President Museveni, due to biology, he may not have that time to do or to conclude the task.
He said his son won't tolerate it.
Yes. So I think he has a role to play. We can only give him a benefit of doubt. Somebody told me something about these evictions that are going on. In wetlands. That you see, Apollo, these people, the 1986 generation, came, conquered, and now they have all they need, most of them. Even if now they displace people and evict people, and for them they already have more. I mean, more wealth. They have wealth. So these evictions can be sustained somehow. That's our hope. These corruption campaigns can move, but we still have a long way to go to stamp out corruption in this country, and it cannot be Museveni alone to stamp out corruption. But there is one thing I want to share with you and our viewers out there. There is a general misconception that we have about corruption. And in this specific case of cooperatives, we look at the manner of cooperatives as for cooperatives or cooperators. But this is the money. These monies belong to the people, the farmers, the transporters who were in these cooperatives, who sacrificed and toiled, and in the end, they bought assets like land and everything, which are being compensated now. You get what I'm saying? When we are talking about corruption, we talk about public money, government money, historic government money. There is no government money. This is money for we, the people, the ordinary people. That's the misconception, the general misconception I'm talking about. Until we unpack that misconception and understand that this is our money, this is the money of the downtrodden of this country, everyone appreciate that it's their money, then everyone will rise and fight this corruption.
I think they do appreciate that it's their money, but when it's already too late. We've gotten this, we've created an environment of removing the everyday issues from everydayness. You have people that are struggling to pay tuition for their kids. Whether it's 300, whether it's 1.2, whether it's 3 million for the Ivy League schools, people that are struggling to take their close people to hospitals. Despite the shaky healthy care system that we have, people are struggling to actually even take those ones to those systems. So when they are hearing, you're struggling with 300, to raise 300, you've called like 7 people and you're telling them, help me with 100, help me with 50K, help me with that small little money to make sure that you can raise 300 and take your relative or a close friend to the hospital. And then you hear someone has stolen 7.2 billion. Some of your money that you actually had, you contributed.
But you see,
and that's where when you were talking about like how corruption has penetrated into our DNA, we actually even need behavior change lessons right now.
What you said is right. The majority of our people, the common man, who people call them Montuawans, do not know that it's their money.
They say the city is the government.
40%,
There is no money for government.
40% of Ugandans spend a month without touching a shilling. 40% of Ugandans spend a month without touching a shilling.
How are they surviving?
No, that you can eat and have food in the village.
You can survive. You can come here and give me lunch, and you don't feel it. That's how our society was created in Europe. Even I can come and say, oh, how are you? We are having lunch. We shall come and join you. They have their lunch and you sit there when they're actually hungry. 67% of Ugandans are in subsistence production. They want to produce what to eat. So Ugandans, through what we call indirect taxes, do not know that they actually pay taxes. We've been running a campaign at Dr. Bese moving around, and we've been running these numbers, and people get surprised that you boda guy, whenever you go and take a little of fuel, you've paid 1,500. Say what? Per liter. So if you take 10 in a day, that is 15,000 paid. If you went and bought airtime of 1,000, you've actually paid 300 shillings. If you went and bought salt, you've paid another 200 shillings. Right? So we must now fight to aggregate all that so that somebody can calculate how much money he has sent to the center and what must be done. Many of them do not appreciate that. They think it is, that's why they call it government money. When they say what is government, they even do not know that government is a custodian of money. I remember when Dr. Bese was trying to teach, to explain to Uganda that actually leaders are servants. For me, I'm not somebody's servant, because that if it sinks in the mind of people that somebody who is in office is your servant, who must account to you,
then you ask for account.
That is when people do what? Ask for account. And now people feel it. If it is government money, they have sold government. If somebody will see you steal government land, I don't mind. They see somebody stealing government
fuel from government vehicles.
The road, they don't mind. They'll even come and buy it, not knowing they're actually stealing from them. It is a campaign that you guys in civic spaces that you must put into that. What we are talking about, we're actually talking about your money, which was taken in bits. It is possible that even at the end of the month, even your baby has paid 100,000 of what? Of taxes. All of us, you may find that or in your household, you've paid $1 million. How much, now, what does the $1 million do for you? Because you're not giving out charity that you are sending to people in government to eat the money.
Thank you, Howard, for highlighting this and your closing remarks on the program.
When you're talking about service, sometimes it is hard because, what I must tell my fellow captives, the Kenyans have forced the man called Ruto to withdraw his taxes by actions. Government does not work on sweet words. Government works on pressure. Even the people you see in the US and the UK would want to still keep in power. But they resign because they are scared of the people. So if you want people who are in government, MPs, councillors, presidents, you must show them that you're in charge, this is your country, and become assertive. If you can't become assertive and you become the person clapping your hand every time waiting for the leftovers, those leftovers that they give you, it is medicine in the hospital, those are books in schools, those are roads, that is security, and everything that are supposed to be. So now they give you a share in form of a t-shirt with a portrait of the person to be voted. If you don't rise up, we shall not fight. We shall not fight for space in our grave if we are put in the same grave.
Thank you, sir, for your participation on the program. Harold, rather, you rebuked me not to say so. Yes, Dennis, your closing remarks.
My fear, I'm a historian, my fear is that this statehood will collapse, not only in Uganda but in Africa. The statehood, the Westphalian model of state and the government structure. Because you see, these systems used to be there. Monarchism, by the time monarchism collapsed, it had reached this far. And there is a way how it had, monarchism, it had merged with the church. And then its work was to frustrate and dismantle the lives of populations. Unless we go back on the drawing board to look at how this, because this state was not there. The model of this state was not there. It's a new phenomenon. People think that it is as old as mankind. No. This structure of the state, then the Montesquieu trinity of the executive, parliament, judiciary, all these actually people fought, and there is too much blood actually that was spilled on the soil. Very many years, even before we were born, to get to this level where justice becomes real, where representation becomes real, where oversight becomes real, where the executive becomes the embodiment and becomes the commander-in-chief. Whoever works in the government must know that has the trust of the people. Whoever is elected to go to parliament, you don't go to parliament to there must be a difference between a member of parliament and someone who is in Chikubo. By the way, a trader who is in Chikubo could strive to be accountable than a member of parliament has been elected to go and uphold this constitution and make sure the services reach the people. That's a policeman does things with impunity. The judiciary, a magistrate, or a lawyer, you are trained to be a lawyer, you are a doctor, but you know that there is a fundamental role everyone has to play to maintain this society. For example, you go and steal and steal and steal. But if society collapses, will you enjoy that? Because this selfishness, this greed, this insensitivity, this corruption, if it continues, it is going to collapse the entire society. And the governments will collapse, states will collapse, and the entire structure, even the democratic dispensation itself, can collapse. And I want to tell you people who are looking at, especially those who are in schools, and those who claim to have gone to school. Because you see, the leading idiots and mediocres are those us who went to school. It's very unfortunate. You went to school and reach at the university level, and You are in secondary, you are in university, but you don't know that you have a role to play to protect this. At least we can forgive our grandmothers, but us, me and Kaija and this gentleman and you and the ones who are actually behind these cameras and those who are watching us, who can listen, who can actually comprehend these things. I know we may not have everything, but we must at least the basic minimum. For example, no one is interested in having a credible and strong constitution. For example, now, the Constitutional Amendment Act of 2018, Constitutional Amendment Act 2018, actually cheapened, reinstated term limits, presidential term, and Ugandans are not aware. Do you know that the Majezi Private Members Bill, which lifted the presidential, which lifted the age limit, actually brought back the presidential term limits which had been scrapped in 2005 as a compromise, and Ugandans are not aware? Constitutional Amendment Act 2018, Section 5, you can read it. Now, President Museveni is serving his first term. The presumption is that, because those who restated the term limits actually started counting in 2021. Now, the presumption is that in 2026, President Museveni may come back, but seeking for his last constitutional, which the constitution people don't know that thing is there. But remember, it was not brought in a constitutional review process, because if it was brought in the constitutional review process, we would have entrenched it, not to be tampered with again, because the reason why it was removed easily in 2005, it was not among the articles that were entrenched. So, can we really have a debate of entrenching that, the Constitutional Amendment Act 2018, so that even if you come as Kaija or Dennis or this one, we know you are going to serve your 5 years, and then you go. The debate must be there, because it is there, but not even entrenched. That means even if you claim that you are coming for the last presidential term, it can be changed in 2028. Even someone may come in 2031 and goes up to 2041, and also actually does the very thing which people, members of parliament, did in 2005.
Thank
so
you,
finally, we want to discuss things like running mates. We don't want to see people coming contesting as individuals. We want to see Kaija contesting as a presidential candidate with my brother here as his running mate. So that when you serve, you serve fine. But we saw a scenario in Tanzania when Magufuli died, but Tanzania remained stable because they knew that if the president dies, God forbid, a vice president is there. The situation is in Kenya. You can see Ruto, there is Gachagua, who is really the deputy. We are tired of vice presidents of presidents, not of the country. We want deputy presidents of the country. Those are fundamental reforms we need to discuss for this country, because we are mortal, human beings are mortal, but with strong laws and strong actual principles and a very, very credible constitutional order, the stability of this country can be secured despite our political differences.
Thank you, Dennis, for your perspective on the program. Moses, your concluding remarks.
In Ghana, recently they asked the president who's actually there, and they asked him whether he thinks he's going to win the elections. He said that even if God comes here right now, I'm not going to win this election. Because now the population has reached a certain level of enlightenment, that whether it's money, because he said whether I get like money that can fill the entire Ghana, I'm not going to win these elections. Whether it's the military, whether it's all these sorts of things that we are seeing here. We need to get our people, the nationals, a certain level of enlightenment for us to actually drive sustainable and real change that we desperately need. If we get Ugandans to understand, he was talking about how they should know that this is their money, but we need to teach them. Now, corruption right now is like in our DNA. Someone is going to tell you, why are you stopping me from stealing or being corrupt with someone of like 100,000? Yet there are people that are stealing billions of money. Start with those ones. They don't understand that even the small amount of money, or in any sort, the corruption that they have transpired into the traffic officers and all that stuff, it's affecting the nation. So we need civic education to our masses. It's not just for the elites. He talked about our grandmothers, whether we can forgive them or anything, but they also need to understand because they play a very big role in shaping this nation. So I think to our viewers out there, everyone has a role to play, and you should stand by the moral values that our forefathers bestowed onto us.
Thank you, Moses, for sharing your thoughts with us on the program. Apollo, your closing remarks on the show.
It will be very brief. I said I'm lucky I'm not aspiring for any political position, and I can speak with an independent mind. I have to send it straight to our members of parliament that you should be ashamed. Having a member of parliament in court for his or her involvement in corruption reflects a high level of moral decadence and betrayal of trust we gave you when we were electing you to that office. And it does not stop with only members of parliament. People who have authority but decide to abuse it, you must be ashamed, because you hold that authority in trust of we who you superintend over. But to our common folk, we must stand strong and speak. We must understand our stake in this country. It takes us to change our country and the destiny of our future. If we keep silent, we decide to ignore what is going on, these people in these offices will have given them a blank check and they will not change. Like Kaija said, we must rise against this impunity for God and my country.
Thank you, Apple. Gentlemen, I must appreciate you for your able participation on the program regarding the topic for discussion of the day, but also most importantly for your patriotic and civic guidance to the citizenry out there. Once again, to our esteemed viewers, we appreciate you for keeping us company from the start up to the conclusion of this program. Much appreciation to the production unit for keeping us live on air. And please engage us on our various social media platforms. We are on X, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram. You can watch and subscribe to this program on our YouTube channel. Be blessed. We'll see you next time.